Hello and welcome to Craftiosity, where creativity comes to you. With monthly craft kits delivered to your door. This month, you'll create your own stitched robin hoop hanging piece. This kit is designed to not only inspire your creativity, but also to bring joy as you craft a beautiful piece of art. Whether you're a seasoned crafter or just starting out, the stitched robin hoop hanging kit provides a delightful experience for all skill levels. Inside your kit, you'll find packs of red, gold and black seed beads, some red embroidery thread, 2 embroidery needles, some blue cotton fabric, a pack of neutral colored embroidery threads, your embroidery hoop, and your design template. You'll also find your step-by-step photo instructions and a little something for your pinboard. Begin by transferring the robin design onto your fabric. Position the design so it is underneath and in the center of your fabric. You may find it easier to see the design if you use masking tape to attach it to a window so the light shines through. Draw over the robin design in pencil, ensuring you have traced over all the lines. Try to press lightly with the pencil so you don't have dark pencil lines on the fabric. Separate the 2 parts of your embroidery hoop by unscrewing the screw at the top and removing the inner hoop. Then place the inner hoop on your work surface and position your fabric on top, ensuring the design is within the hoop. Push the outer hoop down on top and tighten the screw again. Thread your needle with the golden colored embroidery thread. Tie a knot in the end. Begin stitching the larger background stars using a long stitch. Bring the needle up at the top of one of the vertical star lines, coming through the back of the fabric. Make a stitch following the vertical line, bringing your needle back down through your fabric at the other end of the line. Stitch the horizontal and diagonal lines of the star in the same way. Don't pull the thread too tightly as you stitch, as this can cause the fabric to bunch and pucker. Stitch your smaller stars in the same way, but separate your embroidery thread so you are only using 3 strands to stitch with. Thread your needle with the dark brown thread and tie a knot in the end. Use this to outline the body, wings, and tail of the robin using a back stitch. Bring your needle through your fabric from the back and make a small stitch along the wing of the robin. Bring your needle up through your fabric from the back, leaving a small gap from the previous stitch. Go back down into the fabric through the same hole that your previous stitch ended. You are essentially stitching backwards each time. Stitch along the outline using this backstitch technique. Use the same backstitch to fill in the robin's wings and body. Make your stitches longer than you used for the outline, and vary the size of your stitches to add texture. Ensure your rows of stitches are close together. You shouldn't see fabric between them. Work in sections to fill in the wings, body, and tail of the robin. At times, you may need to angle your stitches slightly to ensure you fill the entire piece and don't have gaps. Thread your needle with the white embroidery thread and tie a knot. Begin filling in the lower part of the robin's chest using long stitches. Start your stitches from the bottom and stitch in different directions from a central point to create texture. Work your way up the robin's chest, overlapping the stitches with those on the row below. Vary the length and direction of the stitches to give the effect of fluffed up feathers. Continue stitching until you've filled roughly half of the robin's chest with white stitches. Thread your needle with the red embroidery thread and tie a knot. Begin filling in the upper part of the robin's chest using long stitches. The first row should overlap with the white stitches below. Work your way up the blank section of the robin's chest, overlapping the stitches with those on the row below. Continue varying the length and direction of the stitches. Fill in the rest of the chest and the head with red stitches. Be careful not to stitch over the beak area. Thread your needle with the golden colored thread and tie a knot in the end. Using the backstitch technique you used to outline the body and wings, stitch around the beak. To fill in the beak, bring the needle up through your fabric, just outside the stitched outline of the bottom of the beak. Then make a vertical stitch over the beak, going back in outside of the stitched outline at the top of the beak. Repeat until the entire beak is covered. Your outline stitches should be hidden. Use the backstitch technique and the same golden colored thread to outline the robin's legs. Fill in the legs using the satin stitch you used to fill in the beak. Make sure to stitch the vertical part of each of the legs separately, so they are clearly defined. Thread your needle with the dark brown embroidery thread and tie a knot. Fill in half of your branch using long back stitches. As you stitch additional rows on the branch, Ensure you don't line up your stitches exactly. They should be staggered slightly like bricks on a brick wall. Thread your needle with the white embroidery thread and tie a knot in the end. Bring your thread up through the fabric from the back. Pinch the thread 5 centimeters from the fabric and place the needle on top of the thread. Wrap the thread around the needle 3 times, wrapping downwards towards the point. Push your needle back into the fabric, leaving a small gap from where the thread came up. Pull the needle through the fabric. You should be left with a neat knot on top of the fabric. Continue creating French knots to fill the empty space on your branch. Keep them fairly close together so you can't see any fabric between them. If you have any gaps, you can always go back and add in extra knots to fill them in. Your French knots can also overlap the brown stitching on the branch slightly to make the snow appear more natural. Position between 1 to 4 black beads where you'd like your robin's eye to sit. Thread your needle with a single strand of red thread and tie a knot. Bring the needle up through the fabric where your bead is going to go. Pass the needle and thread through your first bead. Go back down into the fabric to hold your bead in position. Repeat with your other beads if using more than one. Arrange some of the gold seed beads between the stars on the background. Thread your needle with a single strand of the golden colored thread and tie a knot. Use the same stitching technique as for the eye to sew the gold beads into position. Finally, arrange some of the red seed beads between the stitches of the red chest. Thread your needle with a single strand of red thread and tie a knot. Use the same stitching technique as above to sew the red beads into position. Trim the excess fabric around your hoop, leaving a 5 to 6 centimeters border all the way around. Thread your needle with a 50 centimeters length of any color of embroidery thread and tie a knot. Make large stitches around the fabric border, leaving a 2 to 3 centimeters gap from the edge. Once you've stitched all the way around, pull the thread as if you are pulling a drawstring. Your fabric should gather up inside the back of your embroidery hoop and not be visible from the front. Fasten off, cut any excess thread, and voila, your beaded stitching robin is complete. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we look forward to welcoming you to the next craft kit project next month.